call the meeting to order. Ask you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's consent agenda consists of the following items. Item A, approve the minutes of the following City Council work session, April 4th. City Council regular meeting, April 4th. Item B, approve a lease agreement with Mediacom Minnesota LLC for a portion of city-owned property as described in the lease Exhibit A at Fairlawn Avenue and 1st Street North. Item C, adopt Resolution R-23-13, authorizing the mayor and the interim city administrator to execute an airport maintenance and operation grant number 1053345 with the Minnesota Department of Transportation Office of Aeronautics for maintenance and operation activities at the Winston Municipal Airport for state fiscal year 2024 and state fiscal year 2025. Item D, adopt Resolution R-23-14, accepting a donation from Ameriprise Financial on behalf of Yvonne Kramer to be dedicated to the Winston Police Department Fund. Item E, adopt Resolution R-23-15, accepting a donation from Ameriprise Financial on behalf of Yvonne Kramer to be dedicated to the Winston Volunteer Fire Department Fund. Item F, adopt Resolution R-23-16, accepting a contribution from Winston Area Chamber of Commerce in the amount of $300 to be dedicated towards the Winston Holding Activities That Unite People organization. Item G, adopt Resolution R-23-17, authorizing the transfer of funds from airport-related funds to the general fund. Item H, adopt Resolution R-23-18, authorizing the transfer of funds from airport-related funds to the general fund. Item I, authorize a wage modification for Mr. Jim Lammers at grade 7, step 7 of the 2023 compensation plan effective April 4th. Authorize a one-step increase for all full-time employees that are currently at grades 3, 6, 9, and 13 on the 2023 compensation plan effective April 4th, 2023. Item J, approve the claims list for June 6th. Item K, accept the voluntary resignation of Mr. Travis Feeke from Winston Volunteer Fire Department effective May 16th. Item L, approve the off-sale, on-sale, and Sunday liquor licenses from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 for Ape Hanger LLC / Kegs Bar, 121 1st Street North, contingent upon all state of Minnesota and city of Winston requirements being met. That's the consent agenda. I'm looking for a motion to join.
Mr. Mayor, I'll motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. No old business. We'll go right to new business, and that's Resolution R-23-19, Winston General Obligation Taxable Sewer Revenue Note 2023A. Adam?
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Tonight we have multiple items related to County State Aid Highway 5, that extension through the industrial park. This first item this evening is regarding some funding of the project, specifically a general obligation taxable sewer revenue note in the amount of $200,000. I've asked Shan Sweeney of David Jones Associates to join us to go through this action item this evening. Sweeney?
Thanks. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Shannon Sweeney from David Brown Associates. Did a little bit of work on following up with paperwork after staff secured a loan essentially through McLeod Cooperative Power Association. They have an economic development program. They're aware of your project and interested in providing a portion of the financing. Whenever cities borrow money, we have to point to a specific authorization under state statute and a procedure that follows for borrowing that money. In this instance, we're issuing a general obligation sewer revenue bond, technically, although you could interchange that word with loan in order to comply with statute. and McLeod Cooperative Power Association has essentially agreed to buy that bond. Interest rate on the loan is 1.5%, which is probably half of what market is, maybe even a little bit less than that. We'd probably be 3.25%, somewhere in that magnitude if it was a tax exempt bond sold on the open market. So the interest rate is very attractive. It can be prepaid at any time. We probably won't, just because it is at 1.5%, but ultimately you have the flexibility to do that. If you choose to proceed, there's a resolution in your packet providing for the award of sale, meaning you're authorizing the purchase of the city's bond by McLeod Cooperative Power Association. And ultimately, we'd close on June 28th, at which time funds would be transferred to the city and the bond would be issued for the benefit of McLeod Cooperative Power Association. It's a taxable bond, so which even gives the city additional flexibility. We have capacity on the amount of tax exempt bonds we can issue that's bank qualified. Although that's not an issue, it still gives us added flexibility because McLeod Cooperative Power Association didn't need the bonds to be tax exempt. So works even better all around. And so our recommendation, should you choose to proceed with financing a portion of the project with this loan or bond issue from McLeod Cooperative Power, that you approve the resolution. Happy to answer any questions of the council.
One thing I want to note to the city council as you're deciphering how to proceed, this is proposed, or this is a sewer bond, so it'll be pledged through revenues of the sewer fund. So again, as part of our water and sewer rates is where this will be funded. So we'll have, if you look at your payment schedule, we'll have an additional approximately $22,000 a year of annual expenditures within our sewer fund. Now, the ramification of that is currently our sewer fund is pretty healthy in terms of overall fund balance. So we're not anticipating significant impacts to the sewer rates associated with this particular bond.
Any questions? If not, we'll look for a motion.
I make a motion to accept Resolution R-23-19, Winston General Obligation Taxable Sewer Revenue Note 2023A in the amount of $200,000.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you, Shannon.
Next item, Resolution R-23-20, County Road 5 Extension Project, County State 8 Highway Designation. Adam, you want to start?
Yeah, so like I said, we have multiple items on the agenda this evening regarding that project. This next item is in the designation of that roadway. Again, currently that road, or the road within the industrial park, I think it's industrial, is that Boulevard or Industrial Drive?
Industrial Drive.
Industrial Drive is a city street. With the commencement of this project, we will be changing that designation. I have asked Jake Salisbury of Bolton and Mink to join us this evening to talk about this item. Mr. Salisbury?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. So County State Aid Highway designation, it's really, there's two types of county roads, County State Aid Highway and County Highway or County Road. So the County State Aid Highway designation has more funding associated with it. Every county is allowed so much mileage, County State Aid designations, which basically ties it to some gas tax funding and all the other revenue sources that the state has. So this was one of the things that we lobbied for early on in talking about this project, was to make sure it had the County State Aid Highway designation. So easier for the county to fund initially, then also moving forward, say whenever 30, 40 years down the line, if the industrial park's full, the city wants to change the road or upgrade it, there'll be a funding source already there through the state and through the county. So this is a positive thing. Nonetheless, because it is in city limits, the city council has to concur in this, which is this motion that we're looking for today. So, questions?
County maintain the road then, going
County
forward?
maintains the road, yes.
And I think that's the most important aspect here, is that we understand that that will be a county road moving forward. It won't be a local city street anymore. It'll be maintained in terms of concrete maintenance with the county. Snow removal will be with county staff. The only maintenance associated with that area in terms of city staff will be the underground utilities. That will be maintained
Yeah,
by
it's a good
city
point.
staff.
That one block in the industrial park would revert from a city road to the county state aid highway designation.
Any other questions? If not, looking for a motion?
Make a motion to adopt Resolution R-23-20 establishing certain county state aid highway within the corporate limits of the city of Winston.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
A motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, County Road 5 Extension Project Award Recommendation Letter. Adam, start us off.
Sure. Kind of the big item now this evening is to review the bids that were received and the recommendation from Bolton Mink regarding awarding this project and moving forward with this project. Again, this project started all the way back in 2018 with the initial study and conversation with McLeod County. We went through numerous steps in partnership with McLeod County, and it's brought us here to this evening to finally review the bids and determine if we want to proceed with that. That being said, I will let Jake go through that.
Thank you. Yes, this is about 5 years in the making. This is obviously a big step to have a construction contract amount in front of us. So bids were received on May 9th, so almost a month ago. Longer delay than we typically see just based on the county involvement and the county state aid highway designation, these other items. So nonetheless, 5 bids were received. The low bid, Northern Lines Contracting, for approximately $4.2 million. That was a little bit above the engineer's estimate, about 4 to 5% above the engineer's estimated amount and 7% below the high bid amount. So fairly tight range within those 5 bids. That's not great news, but on the flip side, the increase was largely in the street and utility type items. And based on the agreement and the joint powers agreement with the county, those are primarily county items. So although the bid was a little bit higher than the engineer's estimate, the city's share stayed approximately the same. It's about 1% increase from what was previously estimated on the city's share. The city's share after all of this is approximately $800,000. It's $801,000, and then with that 50% of that grant that's tied to this, that would be lowered to about $426,000. So
Have you worked with Northern Lines before?
we have, yes, we not in Winstead. We, being Bolton and Mank, we have a contract with them right now in the city of Plymouth. So this is a little farther west than we normally would see them, but yes, we have worked with them. We have had some successful projects with them in the past.
Okay.
This award is recommended to be contingent on 2 items. One, the Gutzman easement is not quite completed yet, but it should be here any day. And the other is the Teddy grant agreement. That's the $750,000 grant that I just referenced, the Transportation Economic Development Infrastructure Grant. These same items, basically a very similar letter to this, went to the county board just today, and they did approve this contingent on these same 2 items. So all these steps are required to occur simultaneously with the city and the county. The county did take care of their end of things today, just for your information. So I think that pretty well sums it up. So based on that, recommend awarding a contract to Northern Lines Contracting in the amount of $4,202,196.66, and that would need to be contingent on finalizing the Gutzman property easement and executing the Teddy grant agreement.
Just a question, what was the next lowest bid and who was that with?
R.L. Larson Excavating at $4.25 million, so a little more than $50,000 higher.
And even with the difference there, you're confident in the company, that Northern Lines Contracting, for doing this?
Yes, we are. So that, the state statute refers to responsible and responsive. They did all the bidding correctly, you know, they covered all the forms, so they were, they covered the responsive end. So the responsible end is a little bit harder to, if say you're interested in the number 2 bidder, that's kind of a legal question, but we'd have to substantiate why we weren't willing to do that. And with our history, we don't have that. I wouldn't be comfortable making that recommendation to look at the second one.
Understood. I just
Yeah.
thought I heard hesitation in your voice when.
A couple other items I want to make sure the city council understands, that this project will be led by the city of Winstead. So our engineering staff, our staff will be leading this project, and then the McLeod County will be reimbursing the city of Winstead as we go through the project. So it won't be led by the county engineers, it'll be led by our staff in terms of inspecting, et
That's
cetera,
correct.
on this
That's correct,
project.
yep.
The project timelines are, we will start with the utilities and the grading this fall. We will let that settle over the winter, and then we'll do asphalt and concrete
Utilities.
and some utilities next year to wrap up the project. So, lastly, again, our percent of the project, or our project cost, City of Winstead's share, is approximately $800,000. Where you talked about a funding source of $200,000 for some of the sewer work. Jake mentioned the grant. So our project cost less than the grant is $426,000. We have a $200,000 bond associated with this, or loan, and then we're using some of our ARPA funds of about $120,000, and the balance then of about $100,000 will be coming over our streets capital improvement plan fund. So that's the same fund we were just discussing regarding streetlights, etc. So understand that that's how we are planning to fund this project from our local share.
Any more questions? If not, looking for a motion.
Make a motion to award a contract contingent upon the execution of an easement agreement and Transportation Economic Development Infrastructure Program grant agreement in the amount of $4,202,196.66 to Northern Lines Contracting Incorporated for the County Road 5 Extension Project in the city of Winstead.
We have a motion, looking for a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion, and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, Winston Municipal Airport change order number 1, snow removal equipment.
Sure.
You wanna start?
Yeah, so again, the city council has previously awarded the purchase of this and the application of the grant of this snow removal equipment as part of the FAA funding mechanism. After going through that application process, or that submittal process, it was determined that we didn't have the proper documentation to meet the Buy American standard. Ultimately, John Deere was not able to provide that at the current model that we had chosen. So they did offer a model number 544, that could meet that standard. We discussed this at length during our work session. We're comfortable proceeding with this, from my understanding. But Jake, the question I have for you is, and I don't know how well versed you are in this with Ron and Nick, why did that price go up on the 544 versus the 644? I would have thought the price would be less at a smaller model.
Yeah, the sizes are different, but it's largely due to I'm fairly confident it's largely due to that
Buy American
Buy
standard.
America percentage, to get that percentage up higher, different parts, different equipment.
Okay.
In the other projects, I've seen that increase the cost in similar type.
Okay,
items.
so to
I'm not-
meet that standard, there's some price increases.
Yes, so I'm not specifically familiar with, we're talking loaders and snow removal, it's a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but in the past, that Buy America has increased the price.
But it's still cost effective to go with this funding mechanism, because right now the city of Winston only has to pay 5% of this project cost versus 100%. So although the overall project cost is increasing, even with a smaller model, or a lesser model per se, I guess, it's still certainly a viable funding mechanism.
Correct, yep, yeah, the grant will cover the vast majority of it, so it's roughly a $10,000 increase. So your share then would be that $500, $480 or $460.
Again, we did discuss this at length at the work session. Is there any other questions for the city council members or city staff on this request?
Was there any indication as to delivery dates?
I don't know, Chris, have you heard anything regarding that when you're working on those quotes? Okay, for lead time. Okay. That's a good question, Tom. I know our city staff is also looking at another piece of street equipment, and that's 12 to 16 months, wasn't it? That piece of street equipment, that street sweeper? What's the lead time on that? Yeah. It's down to about a year now. Okay, it's down 12 months. So lead times are certainly a very important consideration right now when making these types of purchases.
If there's no more questions, looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the interim city administrator to execute change order number 1 for the purchase of snow removal equipment and related equipment for the Winston Municipal Airport from RDO Equipment Company for the cost not to exceed $421,546.58.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Come to the department report tonight. It's the Winston Volunteer Fire Department. Chief?
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Troy Sherping, Fire Chief of the Winston Fire Department. Tonight is the yearly report for you. I am the chief this year. First assistant chief is Todd Cook. Second assistant chief is Ryan Chatterton. First captain is Aaron Milburn. Second captain is Brian Schaus. Third captain is Matthew Marketon with our secretary, Ariana Higgins. Our membership, we're at 22 fire members. Our full roster is 30. We have one EMR only member, and we can have a total of 5 of those. We had one new hire in 2023 for a firefighter position, and we had one new hire in 2022 for the EMR only position. In 2021, we had 4 new hires for firefighter positions. Currently, we are accepting applications as we have call volumes are increasing and we have less members to report to them calls. Call reports. In 2022, we went over 300 calls. We were at 305 calls. That's the most calls we've ever done. 249 of those are medical related. 12 are structure and or grass fires. 44 calls of those are carbon monoxide calls, miscellaneous calls, and car accidents. In 2023, as of this morning, we're at 164 calls. 130 of those are medicals, 6 structure fires, 7 motor vehicle accidents, and 20 general alarms. And we also assisted the police department with the incident on January 23rd in Pheasant Run. Current projects we have going on this year, we purchased a 16-foot enclosed trailer to help store essential equipment for grain bin rescue and ice water rescue. We are also in the process of speccing out our to be slated in 2024 grass rig replacement truck. So we are working on that currently. Upcoming events we have is our spaghetti dinner on Thursday, June 15th at the Winstock grounds only. Winston Night Out activities on Thursday, August 10th. That's at the fire hall. And pancake breakfast is Saturday, August 12th at the fire hall. Things that we are working on is a recruitment retention committee, because with our numbers of volunteers going down and call volumes going up, that puts more of a load on our responders. So we are looking for different avenues to recruit and retain people, and maybe even with some partnerships with local area fire departments as well. So we are in need of firefighters and first responders in the community. Any questions?
The fire in Howard Lake.
Yes.
You responded with the ladder truck?
Yes, that's correct.
How did that work?
Worked very well.
Okay. Was it the only ladder truck there?
Nope. Pocato's was there, and I believe Watertown sent theirs as well.
Okay. Great. Equipment is good shape?
Our equipment?
Yeah.
Yes, our equipment, we have been focusing on preventive maintenance on the trucks to prevent catastrophic failures, which equals big dollars. So we've been working on preventive maintenance on our trucks to watch that budgetary number more closely. But as trucks get older, parts do become more scarce and parts become less available and more expensive. So we're trying to be mindful of what we have there to make sure that we are safe and efficient with our work and being mindful of taxpayers' dollars.
How's that forecasting for this year, Mr. Sherping? You know, the last few years we've invested quite a bit of dollars into those maintenance line items. Do you think you're caught up there? Do you still see yourself having a lot of those maintenance costs?
I feel that we're caught up on that. We've been watching it very closely this year. The prior years we went over, it's because of a big ticket item. For example, brakes on an emergency apparatus are a huge cost, or a pump replacement on a truck is huge. So those things were unforeseen, but general maintenance we're doing, it should keep us within budget.
Okay, good.
Before I forget, I was supposed to send an email. They would like to come at our next work session and show us their new trailer.
Yep.
So if we can put them on the agenda. And if you could briefly speak to the attendance of the council liaison. Has that been good
Yep,
this year so
absolutely.
far?
That
Okay.
person did an excellent job.
Thank you.
Who is that? I know years ago they had problems with the apron around the fire hall and ice and heaving and all that kind of stuff. Is that still a problem?
Yes, absolutely. That is still a problem. The east side of the parking lot has turned from asphalt to gravel now, and the concrete sections of the parking lot are in need of repair. But, I mean, it's a significant project, and I met with Neil today to talk about that as far as try to fit that in the CIP somewhere, and talking with Adam in prior conversations about what kind of dollars that would cost. I mean, it's nothing that can happen quickly, but historically, where the fire department was built back in the day and how the soil was prepared, I don't think it was appropriate, and we are therefore paying the consequences of it now. So it's functional, but there are hazards in the parking lot as it is today.
Okay.
We made some improvements. Jake has analyzed the situation per se, so we kind of have the engineering done on it. Now it's just a matter of putting together the financing to make the improvements. I'll pass on the information to Neil, and he'll work on budgeting that. I know at the end of fiscal year 2022, the Relief Association made a pretty significant donation to the capital equipment fund. And once we get that all plugged in, that might help us adjust some timelines and some of that stuff.
What's the timeline on your committee for recruitment and retention?
This is our second go around for the committee. We tried it years past, and Steve was a member of the committee. We are meeting with the committee on the 4th Monday of this month to see what their findings are with surveys and such, and see what ideas they have to see what we can do to increase our rosters and get people to maybe stick around for a few more years if they have it in them. So there is some ideas, but it's not, we don't know if they're going to be the solution to our issue.
Troy, when you have some of the members that are relatively new and they quit within a short amount of time, have you done exit interviews to see,
Yes, we
Why
have
are
done
we-
exit interviews to kind of see what the situations are with them.
get a feel for?
Yep,
so you can
to
read
feel what we can adjust. Yep.
it? I think that's a good idea.
Are other area departments kind of having the same problem?
Some departments are and some aren't.
Okay.
And I talked to the departments that aren't having the issue with recruitment retention, and they say, we can't tell you what is going on here. We're just very, very fortunate.
Right.
And it's probably viewed as a statewide issue, though, overall, that
I would say
the lack of-
nationwide.
yeah, nationwide. You know, the lack of volunteerism, whether it's fire department related or just volunteerism in general. You know, that model is a difficult model right now.
The world has changed.
Right, right. So it's not specific to the Winston Volunteer Fire Department.
Right.
You know, we're just trying to find the best solution to help us get through it.
Adam has shared in the past some incentives that you guys have put in place for calls and responses. Is there any addition to that or trying to improve that?
We have looked at the data directly related to that, and we feel that that is not really working as planned. It was something to try to see if it would work, but the committee is also looking into different ways to maybe incentivize people to come to calls, per se. So what we have done may not be working the best, but we need to try to figure out what to try to do differently with that.
You kind of have a twofold problem, attendance to fire calls
Yes.
and retention.
Yeah, the retention is the newer members, maybe it's not what they thought it would be, more commitment than they thought. And also, we have older members that have 20 plus years on. Any member can quit at any time or retire at any time, but 20 is a magical number, and once they get to that point, they did their time, so.
The thing that kind of confuses me is I know I've sat through a number of those interviews, and you guys do a very thorough job of laying out what's expected and, you know, how it's going to impact the family. I don't understand. I know things come up, but you guys do a thorough enough job explaining to them that this is what you're volunteering for.
Correct.
What is the initial hours commitment to the training to jump in?
I'd have to look to see what the hours are, but for example, for firefighter to get your certifications, it could be 2 nights a week for 5 months, or there's other options of online classes. That's only as good if you're self-motivated to do the work on your own. And then for the first responder portion, that's like 2 nights a week for about a month. But then there's continuing education for years following that.
It's probably a good 40 hours of commitment with what you're talking about, all times a month, right?
Yes, absolutely. It is a lot of extra work. And like Steve said, we make sure people know that
Yeah.
signing up, so they're not wasting our time, we're not wasting their time. So training aside, we also do a lot of fundraisers to help out our budgets within the fire department, you know, so that's a lot of extra load on the firefighters as well.
Yep.
And then on top of that, we have our call volumes increasing. I suspect this year will be north of 350 calls.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Troy.
Thanks, Troy.
We come to the open forum section of the meeting tonight. If anybody wants to address the council, step up to the podium. Okay, then we'll move on. City Administrator update and announcements. Adam or Neil?
How about I start, then Neil can go next if he has anything. Park Commission is scheduled to meet on Monday, June 12th at 5 p.m. And then Plan and Zoning Commission is scheduled to meet at 6 p.m. that same evening of Monday, June 12th. At the Planning Commission, we do have a public hearing regarding a variance application here on First Street North regarding a side wall height variance application. And we have a second public hearing, or in addition, out at Grass Lake Farms, the Phase 2 subdivision, and that variance application is in regards to density within the Shoreland District, as well as building height within the Shoreland District. If those variance applications, specifically regarding Grass Lake Farms, are approved by the Planning Commission, then at the next City Council meeting on June 12th, we will be looking to review and approve the recommendation made by the Planning Commission regarding the preliminary plat, plan unit development, and the rezoning of that property out in Grass Lake Farms. So a couple updates there regarding both the park and the planned zoning commissions. Other than that, that's all that I have this evening, unless Neil has anything.
No, I'm good. Today I spent the whole day here and tried to get acquainted and met with Troy and a few other things, getting started and starting full-time one day.
You stayed the whole day.
I stayed the whole day. I made it one day.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything? If not, looking for a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Have a safe